Hello and welcome to another Words Intelligence 6-minute webinar. My name is Doug Newcomb, Senior Industry Analyst for Mobility, and today I'd like to give you highlights of our most recent report, Smart Cities Leading the Way in Mobility. Automakers and Tier 1 suppliers have spent billions in the space, and so have tech companies such as Amazon, Google, and Intel, basically looking to make transportation in cities more efficient and cost effective, and working with cities very closely for sometimes the first time for some of these companies. Some of the key findings that we took away from this report are why cities are a hotbed and testbed for new mobility technologies. Technology solutions required to successfully implement citywide mobility projects, effective policy approaches to working with cities on mobility projects, and the importance of public-private partnerships between cities and mobility providers. What's driving this is a growth in urban areas and population. In fact, the United Nations predicts that two-thirds of the world's population will live in urban areas by 2050. Of course, this is going to lead to a lot of issues, particularly traffic is expected to get worse and worse. We did a survey where we fielded about 700 respondents, 600 of those from Words Intelligence from the auto industry, but also 150 city and county officials from our Informatech sister publication, American City and County. And what we found is that while they feel all of these issues are important to solve, traffic congestion was their top pick as far as the issue that's most pressing for cities. And that's why we've seen over the last 10 years many different forms of mobility come into cities: car sharing, ride hailing, shared scooters, and AV shuttles, which the final one is the subject of most of the case studies that we looked at. In fact, we asked the respondents to our survey which type of mobility is most important for cities of the future. While AVs, automated vehicles, scored the highest, they felt that a coordinated combination of all of these was important. A very important part of smart city technology is Internet of Things. This is machines talking to machines over the network. And we also got information from our Informatech sister company, Omdia, and they found that the install base of smart city technology is going to rise just in the next 3 years, in 2023, to 400 billion devices. And most of this is going to be in the mobility space. Now, public-private partnerships are a very important part of smart city technology. And Omdia again found that most of the projects in the three main areas of the world are public-private partnerships, and most of them are in the mobility space. Now, getting into some of the case studies, we looked at Motional's Las Vegas pilot. Motional, formerly known as Aptiv, worked with Lyft on self-driving vehicles that was open to the public. In fact, we spoke with several of the executives for these companies in the case studies, and Carl Ignema, who is president and CEO of Motional, said they believe this is the world's largest shared autonomous mobility project, and they are generating revenue as well as working with Las Vegas and Clark County in this area. Another one was Ford's Miami and Austin AV projects. What's significant about this is Ford's not only looking at moving people, but also goods. In fact, Ford believes that by 2050, it'll be a $50 trillion business. And in Miami, they're working with Postmates, Domino's, and Walmart to move goods. So I think that's going to be an important space to watch. We also included in our case study May Mobility. They're different because they have AV shuttles operating in multiple cities, mostly in the Midwest, and they're tying into local infrastructure. These are small shuttles that can carry multiple people, and they're also tying into local infrastructure too, which is something that we've seen in most of these projects. Mercedes-Benz is doing a pilot in San Jose with autonomous vehicles, and one of the things that's unique about this project is they're actually getting feedback directly from citizens and businesses there, and getting feedback that they're incorporating into the autonomous vehicles, such as how they're marked from the outside, and also how the app to hail an autonomous vehicle works. And then finally, we looked at the project Vlog is doing in Madrid. This is unique because they were working with the city of Madrid that banned internal combustion engines in internal combustion engine vehicles in their city center and started several electric vehicle car sharing projects. And Vlog said this is the fastest growing car sharing project that they've worked with, and they're working with car sharing projects around the globe with multiple auto manufacturers and others. And they said that they really didn't see a decrease in business because of this ban on internal combustion engines. In fact, the opposite. Now, of course, the recent coronavirus crisis has affected shared mobility in the last few months, but we asked the survey respondents how they think it will affect it over the next 12 months. Of course, most of them said significantly, but interestingly, when we asked them how they will think it will affect shared mobility over the next 5 years, they thought the coronavirus would only affect it moderately. Now, the bottom line is cities are looking to automakers, tier ones, and tech companies to really provide new ways to get around because, as Rob Spiller here from Austin said, and we interviewed him for the report, their population growth just can't keep up with the mobility infrastructure. So these are just some of the highlights. Hopefully you can dig into the report a bit more. And you can also find more of our webinars at this address. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attendance.